Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm super happy to have you guys here. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 notes of Germany, and I promise to make this video super fast, just because I do want to take a nap now. I'm super freaking tired and I just want to nap right now, but I can't go to sleep until I freaking make this video. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. So the very first thing you don't want to do in Germany is stereotype the Germans, guys. And the reason for this is because especially a lot of like American propaganda after the World War II was that all Germans are bad and all Germans are Nazis, all Germans are this or that. It's all propaganda, really. The Germans, they're very nice people. They're extremely helpful. They're insightful, and they actually do care about people, regardless of what you might see on the movies or the TV, whatever. The Germans are actually nice people. The second thing you don't want to do in Germany is be disrespectful, and of course, this is common sense. You don't want to be disrespectful in any country. That's why you're watching this video. But more specifically, you don't want to be disrespectful when you go to visit memorials, especially the Jewish memorials, like the ones in Germany. Of course they're in Germany. Like the ones in Berlin, or even just the concentration camps. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because a lot of people, a lot of tourists especially, they do go to these memorials and without really thinking about it, they're taking photos that aren't really too appropriate for, what the memorial stands for, because you can't forget, Jewish people died, and the Germans, they're upfront about their history and they're not trying to sugarcoat or hide it. But at the same time, as a tourist, don't go to these memorials or and start doing your parkour. This isn't a place to, start taking duck face selfies. So just be really respectful when you go to the memorials, and don't be like these people. Alright, moving on to something less morbid. The third thing you don't want to do in Germany is you really don't want to jaywalk. The Germans tend to follow their own laws, and so as a tourist you should follow theirs. So when you're crossing the street, you have to make sure it is okay for you to cross the street, and you have to wait for the green little man. Because if a cop does see you jaywalking, or even I guess citizens as well, you might just get a ticket, or you might just get a scolding from somebody. So you really just don't want to jaywalk, because it's just gonna look bad if you do. Number 4, this one's really important, and that might just be life-saving for you. Do not underestimate the Autobahn. The Autobahn in Germany is essentially the freeways here in America. Although unlike in America, there are sections of the Autobahn where there is no speed limit, so you could theoretically go as fast as you like. And many people rent a car or whatever, and they just to go on the Autobahn and just to floor it. But at the same time, you gotta remember, that there's other people that are gonna have way faster cars than you, and there's gonna be people that just have more experience driving on those roads. And so don't underestimate it, because you might be pushing 80 miles an hour or even 100 miles an hour, and there's gonna be someone else with a brand new Porsche, Lambo, whatever, and they're gonna make you feel as if you're just staying still in traffic. And so just as safety to you and safety to others, just be really careful when you're driving on there. The right lanes are designated for the slower drivers. So honestly, just don't even take a risk on it, just because it's more important to be living than dead, right? So the 5th don't about Germany is you don't really want to ask people how they are. So you don't want to say, hey, how are you? And the reason you don't want to do this in Germany is because the Germans, they are really upfront. They don't sugarcoat, they don't hide anything. They're just really upfront with you. And so if you ask them how they are, they're gonna answer your question, and they might just share some personal stuff with you, like, oh, that their kid is sick, or that they're sick, or anything else really that might just make you uncomfortable. So just don't ask Germans how they are. Just say hello. That's it. Say hello. And moving on to the 6th don't about Germany is when you go to a restaurant or any other place, you don't want to wait to order. You just want to order. So for example, when you go to a restaurant and they hand you the menu, you immediately want to start looking at that menu and start deciding what it is you want. Because I will say the Germans are really focused on maximizing efficiency, and so they're not going to be checking up on you every 2 minutes how they do in America. It's so fucking annoying sometimes, where waiters are just like, are you doing alright? Do you need more water? Do you need more rice? It's fucking annoying. And this is the aspect I really do like about Germany, because they take your order, give you your food, and they leave you alone, and they don't come back until you ask for the check, right? The 7th don't, and this is especially just for Christmas markets, I would say, but you don't want to forget your deposit. And you might be asking yourself, what is a deposit? What is that? I've never had to deal with that. Exactly. If you live in America, you probably never have to deal with the deposit. But the deposit is when you buy say something like a liquid or something, that the container that comes in, there's a deposit for that, and so you pay the deposit, and so you drink the drink, and then you basically return the container back, and they will give your money back, right? How a deposit normally works, right? And all over Europe, there's Christmas markets, and quite commonly in those Christmas markets, they'll be like, say, like just for example, like hot chocolate. But you know, in Germany, there's like the Glühwein, if I'm pronouncing that right. What happens is they'll serve that into like a mug. You might have to pay an extra like €5 to borrow the mug essentially. But you get that back, so don't even worry about that. Or unless if you really like the mug, I guess you could keep it, but then just know it's gonna cost you €5. And I will say this is a really good idea because, you know, it really does cut down on the pollution, because instead of, you know, handing you like a styrofoam cup or even just like plastic, they put it in a mug, and so you return that mug, and you know, they wash it, they clean it, they do all that stuff, and they reuse it, you know, so you know, it really does help out the environment. So good job, Germany. The 8 you don't want to do in Germany is being unpunctual. The Germans, you know, are always, you know, they're punctual to everything. I know they are, and honestly, I think it's a good thing, because, you know, I like when people are punctual for me, and I like being punctual as well. But either way though, don't be unpunctual, because, you know, that's just gonna be rude. But if you do have like a meeting, an appointment, or like you're meeting up with somebody at a certain time, and you know you're gonna be late, honestly, like the Germans are just as fine, you know, if you tell them that you're gonna be late a few minutes. And if you are late and you don't tell them, then you really should have a really good reason as to why you're late, because it's just gonna really seem like really rude, and honestly, like anybody else would, that person is gonna remember that the next time you guys have an arrangement together. So just honestly be conscious about that. Don't be unpunctual. Just try your hardest not to be. The night don't about Germany that I have is, do not disregard the rules for, you know, waste separation. So in Germany, there's gonna be tons of like bins, and they're all colored differently, and so they all like mean different things, and so like you will throw different things into them. Like one would be, you know, dedicated to plastics, one would be dedicated to like, you know, metals or like aluminums. Another one might be, you know, dedicated to glass. Another one might be dedicated to paper, you know, another one just might be dedicated to like something else. But either way, it's gonna be your job to like know about that, and it's gonna be your job to like separate it for them, because it honestly just makes everything so much easier. And this is part of the reason why Germany is honestly really clean, because, you know, Germans follow these rules, and so you should too. The last don't have for you guys is probably one of the more important ones, is when you are drinking with your friends, with your German friends, and you know, you guys do a cheers or a Prost, you have to look at each other straight in the eyes, because if you don't, it's considered like a bad omen. Just know it's considered a bad omen, so you know, you don't want no bad luck when you're in Germany, because you always want good luck. But either way though, Germany, honestly, I highly do recommend Germany as like a country to visit, especially Berlin. It's such a nice country, and Berlin's such a nice city. If anything, just be respectful when you're there, honestly. Just be really respectful. Alright, you guys, so that's gonna go ahead and conclude the video. I try to make it as quick as possible, because like I said, I just want to go take a nap right now. That's all I want to do. But either way, I wrote an article to accompany this video with, and that article is going to be linked down below. It's on my blog, so please check that out, guys. And also, guys, check out my last video. I just turned 23, so it's a cool video. And so I'll see you guys next time. Peace.